Imagine having full flexibility over your working life. When you work, where you work, how long you work. That sounds like a dream, right? No more daily grinds, no more long commutes, no more late office hours. Now I'd like you to keep that dream job in mind, and now let's picture something else. Imagine having a job where your employer had virtually no responsibility towards you. No health insurance, no social security payments, no paid leave, nothing at all. Now that offer is a little less tempting, isn't it? Well, in the gig economy, those two pictures I just painted can often be two sides of the same coin. And today we're going to find out how. Let's get started. The rise of flexible, on-demand work over the last 20 years has changed your life in ways you didn't even realize. Now I'd like you to meet Maria. Maria is a car-sharing driver in Rome. And like many other people, Maria is what we call a gig worker. Someone who engages in temporary paid work, often through online platforms or temporary contracts. These workers are part of the broader gig economy. And gig workers are everywhere. They range from rideshare drivers to freelance graphic designers to holiday home hosts. In fact, in 2023, the gig workforce made up approximately 12% of the total global workforce. At first glance, the gig economy might seem like it's about freedom or picking up a little side hustle to bring in some extra cash. But like all things in life, it's never quite that simple. So let's discuss how the gig economy is reshaping the industry, the labor market, and even your future in ways you might not expect, and how groundbreaking new regulations are about to shake everything up. So here's some numbers for you. In Europe alone, an estimated 43 million people work through digital platforms today. Now that's already 15 million more than just 3 years ago. So where did this boom come from? Well, the gig work has always been a part of the workforce. I'm just thinking back to my old babysitting days. A long time ago now. But really, it was the pandemic that led to the situation we have today. Businesses were struggling, and unfortunately layoffs were common, while for other people, working from home became the new normal. Another game changer was, of course, the development of digital platforms. It became much easier for, say, a freelance graphic designer to reach customers all around the world without being limited to their geographic location. And similarly, riders could now earn extra income through ride-hailing apps, choosing when they work. Because the gig economy gives anyone with a smartphone or a laptop the chance to start earning. Whether you're delivering food, freelancing, or working remotely, it puts you in control of your schedule. You can choose what days you want to take off. That's particularly appealing to, say, new parents or people juggling multiple different commitments.
So the gig economy has many benefits, but I think the main benefit is that the barriers to entry are very low. All it takes is just creating an online profile and you can get started. So on top of that, it brings a lot of flexibility to work around your own schedule. You just work when it works for you.
But here's the big question. Is all this flexibility really as good as it sounds? Or is there a catch? Let's dig a bit deeper. Because sure, flexible work sounds great, but what if the way businesses benefit is secretly hurting you? Let's hear what our expert has to say about it.
I think the gig economy is a double-edged sword. On one side, it's great at matchmaking, which results in a very efficient labor market. It does so by matching workers with some spare time or with a specific skill to companies that are actually looking for this specific skill. On the other side, it raises serious questions about social protection, worker benefits, and the role that technology plays in managing labor.
And the numbers tell the story here. In 2024, the gig economy had a market size of, wait for it, 477 billion euro. And this is because businesses are saving enormously by outsourcing tasks to gig workers. Think about it. No health insurance, no retirement benefits, no paid time off. That cost gets passed on to the worker. So the real question is, who's really benefiting here? Let's go back to Maria, who we met at the beginning of the video. On paper, Maria earned a gross salary of 700 euro last month. But after gas, car maintenance, insurance, platform fees, and taxes, she took home just 300 euro of net pay. That's not a lot to get by on. Then of course there's the job security, or rather the lack of it. Gig work isn't stable. If demand drops, if a platform changes its algorithm, if you get a few bad ratings from some difficult customers, your income can disappear overnight. And while workers bear all these risks, the platforms themselves have become some of the most valuable companies in the world. And meanwhile, platform workers spend 30 to 40% of their earnings on work-related expenses. And factor in taxes and insurance, and many workers are left earning below the minimum wage.
I would say that national laws haven't fully adapted yet to this new reality. And this creates kind of a gap where technology providers and platforms are able to navigate. This results in misclassification. Misclassification of gig workers as self-employed or independent workers, and this leaves them without access to benefits or protections they would otherwise have access to.
And there's also global competition, which poses a further problem. Now, in some respects, global competition can be a good thing, because when businesses face stronger competition, especially at a global level, they're incentivized to improve their products and reduce prices, ultimately benefiting the consumer. In the case of the gig economy, however, global competition has a negative impact on the wages of gig workers. Let's take freelancers, for example. A graphic designer in Berlin is now competing directly with a graphic designer in Bucharest. Now, guess who wins on price? Our designer in Bucharest can afford to charge significantly less. And for a company looking to cut costs, the cheaper option often wins, especially if the skill level is comparable. And this pushes down wages for freelancers in higher cost cities like Berlin. And they can't all move to Bucharest. And these are life choices after all. People have different motivations and reasons for the choices they make or have available to them. So it's not just a local market anymore. It's a global one. And that can mean workers in wealthier countries get undercut by equally qualified professionals abroad because they can offer the same service at a lower price. And over time, this can lead to wage stagnation or even decline for local freelancers. It makes earning a living harder unless they specialize or upskill or shift to premium niches. Now, we've talked a lot about the negatives, but here's the good news. Fortunately, new regulation is being introduced to tackle the shortcomings of the gig economy. For instance, in December 2024, the European Union introduced its Platform Work Directive. For the first time, companies had to prove that gig workers are not employees, rather than the other way around. And that's a complete reversal of how things worked before. Spain passed a law in 2021 known as the Riders Law, which establishes that food delivery riders working for digital platforms are employees and not independent contractors. And this means that those gig workers in Spain are entitled to the same rights as other employees, including minimum wage, social security, and other benefits.
So research suggests that about 5.5 million people in the EU are misclassified as self-employed instead of being recognized as employees. This translates into billions of euros in unpaid benefits, lost social security, and reduced securities for the workers.
Proposed new regulations also include portable benefits, meaning your health insurance and retirement contributions can follow you across different platforms and jobs. But what exactly does the future hold?
I see a number of scenarios that could play out. It could be that regulations are enacted, but platforms find some workarounds. It means that workers will get some slightly better protections, but the fundamental power imbalance remains. This is actually the situation that we have today, with a few cosmetic improvements. Could also be that strong enforcement actually forces platforms to treat workers fairly. We see genuine employee classification, algorithmic transparency, and transferable benefits. It's a win for workers, but it might also mean higher prices for consumers and fewer platforms in the market. Finally, it could also be that platforms don't just comply with regulations, but they embrace a whole new model entirely. Think about democratic governance, worker ownership, and profit sharing that become competitive advantages.
And right now, the pressure is building from workers, regulators, and consumers who are starting to ask harder questions about the true cost of cheap, convenient services. So what's your take on the gig economy? Is it creating opportunities, or does it just feel like a constant hustle? And if you're thinking about entering a short-term contract, or if you're trying to navigate the gig economy better, here's my advice. Go in with your eyes open. Understand the real costs. Know your rights. And remember that your time and skills have value. Don't let any algorithm tell you otherwise. And that's all from us today. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.